Alright, everybody, welcome back. This is race number 7. I apologize for the late start. We had some issues with starting it up between YouTube and OBS, but it is up now, so that is all good. We have the GP Simsports news fan here, a bunch of excited spectators that look incredibly realistic, very much. These guys are. Looks like they forgot lunch or something, maybe. Alright, we are here. And we have a pretty full pack today. Right now, it looks like we got 12 people. Looks like we're going to have a good race day today. We're going to watch practice for a few more moments while they get ready to race. And then we'll go on to qualifying and race number 1 and then race number 2 as usual. Make sure we have flag debug on. And it looks like it's a pretty good day here. Once again, this is GP Simsports. We're going to be watching some racing. And right now, some practice while we wait for quali. And then finally on to our regular race. Alright, so we are 7 minutes out from 9 p.m. our usual start time. That's usually when practice gets more filled and we get closer to moving on to qualifying in race number 1 and 2. So, right now we're watching some qualifying from Air Cooled. He had a slip up earlier, but he seems to be doing pretty well. One of the faster, in 5th position right now as of practice. But there are only 8 people online currently, not including myself. So, looks like this is going to be a pretty interesting track. Very scenic, I might add. Nice mountains in the background, but safe to say, if you can see from the track right here at the bottom right, this is going to be an interesting race with an interesting track with lots of turns that make you have to stop quickly, or you're already turning, where you can have an issue like this, where you stop while turning and you spin out or something like that. Very difficult for these GTC 60s Legend cars because they have worse braking, worse suspension, and obviously, as you can see right here, getting all that dirt off after a spin out can be pretty bad. Anyway, we have lots of these tighter turns where they have to slow down. Their cars slow down worse, they're more slippery, and they slide, as you can see by air-cooled. Perfect slide there. A little bit into the grass, especially with a game like Assetto Corsa, which is what this is. A touch to the grass like that can be like the end of a race, or at least the end of a lap for some people. Touching grass can really make you spin out in this game. The late braking is a great strategy for gaining time, but if you brake too late, then you really have to stomp on it. And stomping on the brake pedal is not good for these cars. It will make them spin out, it will make them lose traction, and things that they're not supposed to do. That will make your time worse. Race Brick just pulling out of pits right in the middle, or right on the side of the track, getting almost hit by air cooled. Oof, slide into the dirt. Here we have, actually doesn't say who this is, let's see. Sauce, who is not currently on the leaderboard. A little bit, what is happening? That's like a little bit of foliage or something, graphical glitch. Anyway, we got Solace near, meaning he's 100% going to be in the, at least top 3. Rodan is currently in 1st position by a whopping 2.5 seconds. Now in practice, that's a lot. I do really enjoy this straightaway right where we are right now. It's quite nice because you get a view of the mountains, and then you also have that elevation change along with the gradual turns throughout. still impressively first place with 2.4 seconds between him and Game Boy. Let's see if we can figure out where Game Boy is and what he's doing. Well, here's Game Boy. Up here in second position, dutifully going around the corners and going around the track. 2.4 seconds, or 2.412 seconds, is quite a bit of time to be separate from the leader in practice. He might have a flyer, and it's good to remember that these the practice laps don't actually have an impact on the race besides your own personal knowledge of the track. That would be qualifying. Qualifying is what decides who is in what position. I'm probably stating the obvious to many of those who are watching. As we get closer to race time, we're getting more and more people popping in. Right now we're up to 11. while we still got practice running, might as well take a lap in the news van, which, by the way, is going to be on my keyboard, so it's going to be an interesting time. Let's see. Let's just take this camera out. That is backwards. I should probably remember reverse and neutral and first gear on a keyboard. Because I'm never going to drive this on anything else. A blazing fast lap from the GP Simsports news van. Oh, I think this is the only turn I actually need to brake for. Massive amount of tire smoke there. And there as well. You know, this reminds me of the game Wreckfest. I don't know if you've ever played it or have seen it, but often in Wreckfest, some of the lower level lobbies or someone who's just trolling will get in a big bus or van and go the opposite direction of everybody else, purposely wrecking them while also not doing anything good for himself, just for the sole purpose of wrecking other cars. So it's kind of funny, but also kind of annoying if you're ever trying to take it seriously. I'm not going to do that to any of these guys, though. Alright. And we are across the line in first position 100%. So, that was the starting of our fast lap. Let's see how fast our lap really is going to be. As of right now, it was like 33 minutes, but that's just because I was sitting in pit for that long. Hopefully I'm not annoying anybody. That would be not what I want. Oh, it looks like Mike Kirby is in that, who was in that car before? Rodan? I don't know. Mike Kirby is in the, Ford Shelby. A nice livery on that one, though. I don't think I should have slowed down for that, but I did. It's hard to be precise when you're on a keyboard. I might need to slow down here. Yeah, I should have slowed down more. It worked out. Connor was able to pass me. Alright, I do have to brake for this corner. As you can see, I don't have a speedometer or tachometer up, so I can't really see what's going on in my engine or what my revs are like. So I'm just eyeballing it based off my gears, actually. Alright, what's this lap gonna look like? This is putting down this week's lap of the GP Simsports news van, and me also crashing into the wall while I'm at it. Because who doesn't like a good wall crash in the news van? Maybe this isn't the most accurate. There's this great show called Top Gear, and so they've since stopped it. It's pretty popular, but they always have, whenever they test a new car, they have a driver of unknown origin or name called the Stig take the car out for the drive on the track to get the lap time down. I am not the Stig, so you're going to see lots of inconsistency, lots of crashing, but that leaves us with a 3 minutes and 10-second lap, so doing pretty good there. So, to quickly go over that, we have a 3 minute and 10-second lap, something around there. Didn't get to see it exactly. So, very interesting in the GP Simsports news van. While we wait for quali, which should be any moment now. 3 viewers is pretty good. Maybe that was an interesting lap of mine. Alright, we're going to leave our news van here and catch some action. Alright, in the pits here, we have Moto in 9th position, Penguin in 11th position, Rodan in 1st position. I wonder what he's doing out in pits. Hopefully no major changes. Dean in 7th position, but Sauce just took 1st position and has set the fastest lap time of 1:58.699. Game Boy in 3rd place, 1.5 seconds behind the leader, so doing much better for himself than the original 2.5 behind Rodan. we may have one or two more people hop in closer to quality and race time, or maybe even after quality and into race time, just for the fun of it. But as of right now, we have a pretty good line set up with 12 drivers. We have Sauce, we have Rodan, we have Game Boy, we have Pro, we have Air, we have Kirby, we have Dean, we have Race Break, we have Moto, we have Spangler, we have Penguin, and we have Gunner. I know we have more drivers. I don't know who's participating today other than what's on the leaderboard right now. We could have some others join shortly. We have Spangler here in 10th position. Only 6.7 seconds behind leader. That's really impressive. Looks like it's going to be a pretty close race today if everyone has lap times that close together. Oh, we just said at 2:05, meaning he's only 6.6 seconds behind. Looks like Spangler's still in his Alfa Romeo. A good car, Sounds pretty, looks nice. Looks like we're on to qualifying. Let's say it again. We are now on to qualifying. So, looks like I don't need to do any of that because I'm a news van. So, we have all our drivers leaving the pits. Penguin, or Pro with a cloud of smoke. And Tom Spangler is off. And Mike is off. And Sauce is off. And Dean is off. Air-cooled Penguin. Oh, Penguin is off. Game Boy, Air, and Gunner. All still in pits. Oh, looks like Game Boy just left, so it's just air-cooled. Gunner left in pits. Hopefully they don't have any issues. Looks like air-cool is off. Still have a Gunner here. Hopefully he's not having too many issues and he'll be still able to race. Alright, here's Moto on his out lap. Like Kirby passing him. Always fun to watch all these cars interact with each other. Being set off all at the same time on their quality laps. Pro Darwin's heading fastest lap at 2:24. So far, he is the only person to set a time. Sauce with at 2:32. Keep in mind, this is the out lap, meaning these times are going to be much slower because they have not gotten a running start first. So as these times come in, there's a wild vary that I would not have expected. Pro in first, Sauce 8.5 seconds behind is quite surprising, actually. Dean 9 seconds behind, doing very well for himself. Passing Moto and Quad. Looks like Dean is on flyer. Game Boy 21st, or 21 seconds behind the leader, which is very surprising because Game Boy is a fast driver. But it's important to keep in mind that some of these drivers left pits later than others, making their times much longer. So this lap we are in right now is going to decide what we can expect from race number 1 today, with how the grid is going to be set up, and also who's going to be out ahead, who's going to be stuck behind, and who's going to have major issues crashing constantly. Moto doing very well for himself, or I spoke too soon, crashing into the wall. He was doing pretty well for himself, keeping his lap times up, not sitting around too much, always keeping his car under control. But it is a sad sight to see when he loses traction and spins out on his first real quality lap that's going to decide his lap time for this race. So this time here is going to be much slower than what we can expect from Moto, as long as he doesn't constantly crash, which is a possibility. I've done it myself. Here is Game Boy in 8th position currently, but that's just because he has not gotten his fair lap in. Pro setting fastest lap at a 1:59. Will Sauce be able to beat it? Or will Sauce? Nope, Sauce was able to beat it. No problem. Not 9 seconds behind. In fact, 1 second ahead with a 1:58.663. Game Boy going off track. Dean setting his lap, setting him in 3rd place as of right now, with 2.6 seconds behind Sauce. Mike doing very well, passing people, and hopefully we can see that from Mike in the race today, passing some of the faster drivers. As you can see, Game Boy now in 4th place with his fair lap, 5.4 seconds behind Sauce. Racebrick 7 seconds behind Sauce, Kirby 17 seconds behind Sauce, Moto 24 seconds behind Sauce, and so on. Spangler just now setting his lap 30 seconds behind Sauce. Looks like Dean has been practicing pretty heavily this week if he's right off the bat going into 3rd position. I am rooting for him this race, especially if, for those of you who tuned in last week, definitely rooting for him due to his unfortunate ending last week. If you don't know what happened, I definitely recommend you go and watch the last few moments of race 2 last week. Dean was doing well, and he was able to get to 3rd in just the last lap, and he was going to get podium 2nd position, but he got tapped in the rear and spun out in a chicane. Hopefully it doesn't happen today. I think he's going to do very well. I think after last week's failure, he has practiced, and he's not going to let that happen again. Game Boy going off the track. Hopefully he doesn't do that during the race, because I know he's a fast driver. Hopefully he can hold up to his expectations. Kirby going pretty quickly this quali session, passing some of the faster drivers to straightaways. Looks like he has his high points and his low points. Rodan just finished one of his laps, placing himself ahead of Dean, so Dean's now in 4th, Rodan in 3rd, Racebrick 5th, Game Boy 6th, Gunner 7th, Kirby 8th. Kirby just put on, or actually took off a few seconds, and he was able to pass both Gunner and Game Boy, putting him in 6th and only 4.4 seconds behind Sauce. Very impressive. We have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock for these drivers to get the fastest time they can. Spangler in 8th position. For someone who's so new to the game and so new to how we do things, he's doing quite well. An entire, it's like 4 positions or 3 positions ahead of last, and only 7.5 seconds behind Sauce. Racebrick still in pits. Hopefully he gets a chance to qualify. Alright, here is Dean in 4th position currently, 2.6 seconds behind Sauce. And we have 2 minutes to go. Let's get a onboard camera of Dean's car. Here we can have our helmet cam. You can see how much these cars shift over and lean when you go into a turn. And it's hard to control cars like this, especially when you stop and you start putting all that weight forward and the back wants to pass the front really badly, and the back starts losing traction because it's lifting up while you brake. It can be deadly to your lap time. Some of the drivers seem to be happy with their times going back into pits. Rodans in pit and race bricks in pit. Game Boy starting to move up to what I expected him to be in. 6th position ahead of Kirby. Although I was expecting him to be up in at least 3rd, which is quite surprising. Maybe he did not practice this week. We're not getting paid, so I expect this to be one of the last things people do. I remember past seasons when I've raced, sometimes I have never practiced and I just hop on, immediately qualify and race. Broke a little late there, not quite as heavy, losing his line and skidding while he was at it. And that is the end, so we are into overtime of quali. Dad? Alright, Dean on his in lap going out of overtime. Probably his last lap in quali. What's it gonna be? Will he be starting in a podium position? Looks like he will not. He's stuck in 4th position on the podium, which is still quite good, and he can definitely make it up in the race. Getting into 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, any podium, I believe, would make him happy. Yeah, 2 Bizzarinis lined up here. Number 4 and the number 38. Alright. Here are the racers. We have Softs, we have Pro, we have Rodan, we have Game Boy, we have Dean, we have Mike, we have Racebrick, we have Air Cooled, we have Penguin, we have Spangler, we have Moto, and Gunner. Alright, the racers are now set onto their grid. We have plenty of spectators lined up. They are definitely not all wearing the same thing, and they're not identical cars. That would be crazy. Alright, lots of people excited to watch this race. We have Sauce starting 1st, Pro starting 2nd, Rodan starting 3rd, Game Boy starting 4th, Dean in 5th, Mike Kirby in 6th, Royce Brick in 7th, Air Cooled in 8th, Penguin in 9th, Tom Spangler in 10th, Moto in 11th, Gunner in 12th, and me streaming the race. We are now starting in 1 minute and 10 seconds. This is going to be an interesting start to a race, and I am very much looking forward to how this goes. Alright, we are starting here with Sauce. Alright, we are off the track and we are ready to go. And green light, baby, we are off. Pro passing Sauce right off the bat. Looks like Sauce must have had a bad start because Rodan is also starting to creep up next to him. Going into turn 1. Obviously, we're not doing the chicane this week. Looks like Game Boy is bumped, but he saved it. Bumping into someone else. There's a bumpage. There's bumpage going off the track. Oh my. Looks like Game Boy was bumped off the track. He thought he saved it, but it ended up bumping into another car who bumped into another one, and they started bumping each other into an uncontrollable rhythm which ended in the entire lane being locked up and a big pile-up crash. We have Sauce right now in 3rd position. Must have had a bad start there. Rodan in 2nd, Pro in 1st, Racebrick in 4th. And looks like Dean is all the way back in 9th. I'm guessing that accident didn't serve him well. Dean moving up to 8th. Let's see how Dean is doing back here. Dean, obviously a faster driver, has begun his crusade, passing all these slower cars as he moves his way back up to his qualified position of 4th, hopefully to return to podium where he'll finish. Oh, Mike Kirby off the track, trying to hold off Dean, put the pressure on him, and didn't brake far enough, leaving him put way far in the back in currently 10th position, where he'll probably stay unless he moves, which he did, into 11th. Leaving Dean in 7th position with Game Boy also creeping up. Looks like we got a new fastest lap. Rodan, who is now in 1st place, Sauce closely behind in 2nd, has set the fastest lap so far. Dean, an entire 15 seconds behind the leader, has quite a bit of time to make up. But it looks like he is slowly catching up to Tom Spangler. He's going to make a pass look really easy here, unless he hits. Oh, a little bit of tap. Oh, that sent Tom off the track. He was not expecting that. Poor Spangler. He was doing very well for himself. All the way up to 6th position. Hopefully he stays closer in that area and he is able to regain a good position and not suffer too badly from that crash. Because I know a simple crash like that can really ruin your mental state for the rest of the race. Alright. So Dean's now in 6th position, but he's still 16.8 seconds behind Rodan. I kept saying Sauce before, didn't I? Well, Sauce is his next opponent, where he is only 5 seconds behind Sauce. So, as his next target, he needs to not wear out his tires, not heat them up too badly, creep up on Sauce as fast as possible, but also not putting any unnecessary wear or putting him himself in any unnecessary risk where he can go off track and lose position. Because Thomas Spangler is 5, 6, 7, 8 positions or 8 seconds behind Dean, and if Dean spins out, that could he could easily be passed in that time, depending on how he crashes, obviously. Looks like Dean is actually losing time on Rodan. let's see how Pro is doing up here. 1.2 seconds behind Rodan. Pro is definitely one of the fastest drivers. Rodan's usually in third, fourth, so it's good to see him up here all the way in first. We have 10 minutes on the clock for race 1. Ooh, quite a bit of skidding, some tire smoke going into this corner. Spangler actually passing Game Boy up behind, just looking at the leaderboard. Looks like Game Boy probably had some sort of incident resulting in him getting passed. Because I know that Game Boy is a much faster driver. They've air cooled in fourth here. It's like Sauce is gaining on him, hungry for a higher position. Gaining. He's gonna try to take the inside. Looks like air cooled felt the pressure of Sauce. Didn't brake early enough, setting him off the track, hitting the wall, striking that rhythm we saw earlier with the news van, letting Sauce fourth, Air in fifth. And Dean's still in sixth, but looks like Dean's going to have as many means as needed to catch up to Air. We have Penguin close behind Spangler. This slight turn, if done wrong, can result in a touch grass moment where all these skid marks come from. Just watching some of the lower or slower players or drivers here. Penguin looked like he was catching up to Spangler, but looks like as of now he's actually starting to lose time. Back up in fifth, we have Air. A few seconds behind Sauce. Looks like he's probably not going to catch back up to Sauce. Dean is closing in though, as he is just 3 seconds behind, and definitely possible that he will catch up and claim fifth position. Moving on to fourth. Looks like Sauce passed a race break up there. Looks like a race break had some sort of accident, touching grass, or maybe bumped by Sauce. I don't know. We'll have to go replay and see that later. But happily that puts Dean in fifth. Just 2.5 seconds behind Air. Getting closer and closer to fourth position where he qualified for. Like Mike Kirby got past a sad sight to see. I'm not sure. That first incident might have gotten Kirby mad. Got him out of his original mental state of how you saw how quick he was. He was up there, sixth position, I believe, on practice. But that accident probably messed up his mental state, sending him back a lap behind everybody else. Tripping over my words here. Looks like Dean is starting to close in more and more. He looks like he's just about a second behind. Feeling unnecessary pressure from Mike Kirby because he was just fast. Oh, Dean getting closer and closer, but it looks like he was braking later and later, sending him out to the wall earlier, but able to recover quicker because Air was pulling out to the wall and entered too soon, leaving him slowed down by the wall. Dean in fourth. Ooh, Air was not happy about that, taking the initial inside line, braking late, sending him way off the track. Now Dean has an entire 21 seconds to get to Rodan and like 12, 13 to get to Sauce. Looks like Dean, unless there's an accident, is going to end up fourth for first race. Wow, looks like Sauce has set the fastest lap, even though he's an entire 9.5 seconds behind Rodan. Must be that Sauce either didn't practice much or was out of it when he first started the race. But he's getting back into it now, and he's setting lap records after lap record. Most certainly going to catch up to the lead to maybe even getting into second or first position in these final 4 minutes. Game Boy on 7th, quite surprised he's so far back, but we do have all the faster cars up front, just in a different order than usual. Although it looks like Game Boy is starting to gain on Air. It's probably soon to pass him. Definitely coming for Race Break and Dean, as he's usually right with him or ahead of him. Touching grass a little bit there, but looks like he kept it under control even into the braking point. Braking right on time, staying right behind Air Cooled. Looks like Air made the same mistake as before, just going way too far out, but he was able to recover and not hit the wall. Game Boy an entire 0.3 seconds away from passing Air Cooled. Looks like he took a slightly outer initial line, braking a little bit later, and Air Cooled braking earlier, taking a more direct line right off the bat. But Air Cooled braking very hard, trying to throw off Game Boy. Looks like it worked for now, but looks like Air has lost some traction, and he's really feeling the pressure from Game Boy now. Game Boy expecting a pass here on the inside. What's Air Cooled going to do? Not wanting to lose it, but also braking late as usual. He was able to pull in front of Game Boy somehow. Game Boy didn't want to lose everything, so I'm certain he let off the throttle a bit as to not pit maneuver or get pit maneuvered. Game Boy is still roughly 0.3 seconds away, but he's getting closer. Looks like Game Boy knew there was going to be some incidents there with Air Cooled sliding. You know, Air Cooled has been sliding a lot, but he has been keeping on the track, and he hasn't spun out since that last incident we saw hitting the wall. A late break from Game Boy, something we haven't seen yet. Game Boy is really putting the pressure on Air Cooled. He really wants this position and does not want to be stuck in 7th place. Looks like he's expecting to pass on the outside. Had more momentum through the turn, but he broke a little bit earlier as he knew he was going into a turn, and it would be unwise to keep that battle going through such a tight turn. Air Cooled, is he going to make the same mistake? Looks like he's going off his initial line a little bit, but he was able to get back on. No big deal. Game Boy, same situation behind Air Cooled. Another lap later with only a minute left to go. Braking late from Game Boy. Oh. An overreaction. Back on the correct racing line, and Air Cooled a little bit shaken up from that. A lot of it shaken up from that as he starts to slide and spin. Ooh, Game Boy starting to do that. He goes over those apex bumps. Air Cooled, it looks like he's off his initial line. Could be good news for Game Boy. Whoa, air-cooled, braking early, going on the inside line, sliding out a little bit. Game Boy's expecting to pass on the outside here. Is he going to do it? Air-cooled's not going to like it. He's getting close. He's slowly getting further and further ahead of air-cooled. There's no way he's tapping out of this into this. This is going to be really hard corner to go through with this because it's so slidey as he goes into the grass from air-cooled. Is air-cooled going to hit the wall? Looks like air-cooled was able to avoid crashing. Good. Leaving Game Boy in 6th. Good for Game Boy, bad for air. This is the final lap. So it looks like this is our final ending. Let's go over to the news van and catch these drivers as they pass. Quite a few drivers to go through. Alright, we are here at the news van. We have last place passing. Who's gonna get first? The leaderboard definitely doesn't give it away. He's been in first the entire time. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I think he had to pass a few, but he's been in first for the majority of the time. Does not have the fastest lap, but still is in first. It's Rodan in first position, with Pro close behind in second, a mere 2 seconds. Sauce entire 6 seconds. An amazing recovery from Sauce as he started so far back due to that incident at the very beginning, and still able to get a podium position. Very impressive. Dean in that's not Dean, that's Gunner, who is lapped. So that's an interesting. He looks like he's gonna have to either get a DNF or complete another lap. This is Dean in 4th position. Not a podium, but it's better than 6th. And he did not have much interference, so a good race for Dean, I might add. Race Brick in 5th, despite that slip up going on the mountain there. Game Boy in 6th. Air Cooled in 7th. As these finals drivers, Mike Kirby, looks like he was lapped. As these finals drivers come along, there will be some congregated at the end, all doing their choice of burnouts and donuts. Alright, as they start going back to the pits, ready for race 2. We got quite a few DNFs that round, so those guys will still be in the back, but those who finished and finished in last positions will be moved to first, and those who finished in first will be moved to last. A pretty entertaining first race, very good. J.I.J. Forte Fishing, greetings, nice to see you here again. Ready to tune in for race number 2, which is just about to start in 18 seconds. I do apologize for any sort of community involvement. There is a stream latency, so it's a few seconds after I say something you're going to actually hear it. So here we go. This is a lineup for race number 2. We have Mike Kirby. Looks like he did not get a DNF. Good for him. He is starting in first position. Gunner, second position. Penguin, third position. Tom Spangler in fourth. Air in 5th, Game Boy in 6th, Race Brick in 7th, Dean in 8th. I think he's going to do pretty well from that position. Passing could be a difficulty. There could be lots of crashing, especially as the faster cars start to pass the slower ones, followed by slower cars. So, Sauce starting in 9th, Pro in 10th, Rodan, our first race champion, starting in 11th with Moto close behind in 12th. So, what do we think is going to happen? Not certain. But I am certain of one thing. These initial first 4 cars are going to get passed. And they're either going to get passed through skill with these drivers in the back who are faster passing, or they're going to get passed from some difficulties in the middle resulting in a crash, which is extremely likely, and these back 4 passing taking lead. And we have 25 seconds to go before race 2 starts, which will decide tonight's scores for the championship. And the lights are out. And there we are on green. And that was a weird camera glitch, but we were going. Mike Kirby first. Oh, some passing. 3-way on this track is very impressive. Wow. Some of these faster cars are really threading the needle here. Lots of passing. Going back and forth. It looks like Pro Darwin got off the track there. As did Game Boy and Dean a little bit, but Pro definitely had it harder. Still back there with Tom and Moto. Dean not wanting to be passed by Penguin, but getting passed anyway. That's a sad sight. Hopefully Dean will be able to recover from that. I bet he will. Go. Oh. Gunner going off, hitting wall. Uncontrollably spinning onto the track, knocking Dean off, putting him way back in 11th. Will he be able to recover from that? I'm not sure. It's going to be difficult. We have Pro way back there. The initial first 6 cars, a pretty tightly packed group. Now we will watch a little bit of Game Boy in 5th position and his surrounding drivers. Ooh, Mike Kirby still in first. Doing very well. Good job, Mike Kirby. Ooh, Game Boy off track. Some close racing here as there is lots of defending and attacking going on all at the same time. Dean passing Spangler in 10th back there, just looking at the leaderboard. Kirby holding off Sauce. Oh, but braking a little late. Looks like, is Sauce going to be able to pass him? No, Sauce is back behind, going outside, trying to use his momentum advantage. Sauce is very good at keeping his momentum through many quarters. Mike Kirby learning from his mistakes with the fastest lap so far. Very impressive. I can tell Mike is getting a little anxious with Sauce there, a little nervous. He's bouncing back and forth a lot, braking later. Passed by Sauce, so he's in 2nd position now. Although, whoa, is Kirby going to take it back? Looks like Sauce broke a little bit later, but that put Sauce on the inside through the corner. Only a little bit more than Sauce. Sauce was sent to the outside, but he did that on purpose, keeping his momentum exactly as he wanted to, leaving Kirby 0.6 seconds behind. I'll take this quick moment and break of action here to remind you we do have merch. We have GP Simsports mugs and t-shirts. They are priced so cheaply that the seller doesn't make profit, only the maker, so they're like $16 for a shirt, $10 for a mug. I personally have the logo shirt and mug, because I'm actually using the mug right now. So we got Mike Kirby here, 2 seconds behind Sauce, as Sauce is really taking off with no opposition. He's able to put his knowledge to the test and stand out. Kirby way ahead, 2.5 seconds ahead of Racebrick in 2nd. he's doing quite well. I am very pleased at this outcome. Dean's back up to 7th. Very interesting. Looks like he's only a second behind Air Cooled. Let's see if we can actually get to Dean. Alright, here's Dean. Very tightly packed middle section here as Pro, who's one of the fastest drivers, is stuck in 8th behind Dean, who's behind Air, who's behind Penguin. Penguin is one of the slower drivers, but he's able to hold off these cars pretty well, leading to a very interesting bungee accord, that's what I'd like to call it, as there's some pushing and pulling, and it's pushing other cars back as some cars are accelerating, and it's bouncing back together. Ooh. A break from the initial line. Oh, Dean coming out from behind Air, bumping into Air Cooled, sending Air into the wall. Pro taking advantage of the action initially, forgetting to brake, also crashing and tangling up with Air Cooled. Oh, and crashing again. Oh my word. Looks like Pro, Rodan, and Air had 2 crashes all in the exact same turn. One because of Dean and Air, one because of Pro, probably dirty tires. A very interesting second race so far. We have 9.5 minutes on the clock. So now Dean's in 6th, and he has just 2 positions to make up in these 9 minutes left to get to his quality position for first lap, or first race. Definitely starting to close in on Penguin here. With no pressure from the rear, he is really able to focus his efforts on attacking Penguin and getting under him. Ooh, Penguin feeling the pressure of Dean, going off the track, hitting the wall. Not a pretty sight to see. Probably is going to do well for Air Cooled though, as he is catching up to a much slower car. So now that leaves, Air Cooled in 6th, Dean in 5th. So now Dean has roughly 7 whole seconds to catch up to Game Boy. Alright, Dean really pushing it through the corner, touching grass quite a bit. I'm interested to see Pro's recovery, because I know he's a faster driver. With 8 minutes, he probably can catch up and get up to 5th, 4th. Pro is slowly gaining on Penguin with just 2 seconds in between the two. Another 2 seconds in between Penguin and Air, and then 5 seconds between Air and Dean. I like good to see Moto so close behind Pro. I mean, you're 3 seconds away. Sauce has the fastest lap currently. Oh, a later break from Pro, an earlier break from Penguin. I'll have to ask him how to pronounce his name. I don't know if it's Penguin, like the animal, or if it's like Pigwin without the N. Pro is definitely catching up to Pigwin here. Just 0.4 seconds. Sauce beating his own record, setting the next fastest lap. Sauce is just having a field day out in front of everybody. An entire 7 seconds alone to himself, away from Penguin hitting wall. Felt the pressure of Pro, overreacted, going out to the wall. That leaves Pro in 7th. Yeah, Sauce has an entire 7th, actually 8 seconds now away from Kirby. So he's just having a field day, doing the best he can, improving every single lap, getting faster and faster lap times. So far, beating himself in these lap times. Air Cool, braking late, hitting the wall, slowing himself down, although a very good recovery for the type of accident he just had. That leaves Pro in 6th, as he's just made up 2 positions in 2 minutes. At this rate, he has plenty of time, and he can definitely catch up to Dean, possibly even Game Boy. Very good to see Kirby still up in front, although it looks like Racebrick is gaining on him based on the leaderboard stats. Let's go back up to front and see what's going on. Here's Racebrick, close behind Mike Kirby. Oh, Mike taking a wider line, a slower line. Racebrick is only 1 second behind Mike. We have 5 minutes to go. The battle for second is real. Mike Kirby feeling some pressure from Racebrick. You can see him sending it out into the corners further, braking later. Mike knows Racebrick is there, and definitely feeling pressure, which Racebrick intends. Nothing dirty about that. Just racing. Whoa, Mike going in the grass quite a bit there, but so does Racebrick. Looks like Mike was braking a little bit later. That slowed him down enough to where the point where Racebrick, going faster to that area, was able to pass, leaving Mike in 3rd. Game Boy close behind. Will Mike be able to take 2nd position back? Not sure, but if he can keep it up for the next 4 minutes, he will win a podium position, which is very good. But Game Boy's getting very close, and looks like Mike's going to be most likely in 4th here. But Mike was able to hold off 1st position for a good few minutes, and then 2nd position for an even longer time. Just with a slight mistake. Hopefully this doesn't mess up his race, and he's able to complete with good times. Looks like he was skating quite a bit, had to slow down more than anticipated, leaving very little room between him and Game Boy, who was just a second behind him. Mike with an earlier break. Ooh, an earlier break, early acceleration, and a late turn in. Sauce again setting his record for the fastest lap. This is what, the 3rd, the 4th time he's set his own record. Somebody's gotta get faster and stop this guy. He's just gonna win first easy. 13 seconds ahead of everybody else. Looks like Dean's gonna be solidly in 5th position because he is 10 seconds behind Game Boy. There's no way he's catching up that quickly. He only has 2 minutes. There's no way. Although Pro could pose an issue to Dean. This is going to be an interesting ending of a race because we have 2 main points to watch. 2 minutes to go. We have the trio here: Game Boy, Mike, and Racebrick. All in different cars, yet still able to keep up with one another. Game Boy is really putting pressure on Mike, but Mike is doing a fantastic job holding him off. Oh, Mike feeling the pressure of that very bold dive, but to avail to nothing because Game Boy just sent himself off the track, pretty much sealing his fate in fourth, and leaving Mike to have third for himself. Gonna finish with a podium position here, as I believe this is the last lap. There might be one more lap after this, I could be wrong. But either way, I believe Sauce is winning first. I believe this is now the last lap. Mike just has to hold off Game Boy, who is an entire 4 seconds behind him for another lap. And Racebrick has to hold off Mike for another lap, but looks like Mike is taking the classic Canadian approach, not posing much of a threat to Racebrick as of now. But when he does pose a threat, it could be dastardly for both of them. Mike taking a severe inside line, and Racebrick sliding a bit, but Mike looks like he brakes a little bit unnecessarily, letting Racebrick pull away from him. This is now the final lap. Sauce is on his final lap. I believe he also set his fastest lap again, so that'll be either 4 or 5 times now. Pretty comical just to see Sauce so far up ahead and just setting his own record over and over and over, lap after lap. Looks like Kirby's gonna be braking a little bit later, but he's still far enough away where it's not posing much of an issue. But is he gonna go off the track there? No. He really flung it into that corner, but was able to keep himself on track, because if he touched grass with that kind of force going outwards on his car, it could have been terrible. Oh, Racebrick going off into the grass. Able to get back on, no big deal. Really pulling away from Mike now. Looks like we had an issue with the leaderboard with Gunner either going to pits or a lap behind. So, Racebrick is still in second. Gunner must be in last. Racebrick an entire 2 seconds ahead of Kirby. That was it. That was the end of the race, and I missed announcing excitedly. But we have the fun crashing at the end. Gunner looks like he just kind of gave up and just sat at the end waiting for the victory parade. Sauce first, Racebrick second, Kirby third, Game Boy fourth, Dean fifth, Pro sixth, Gunner not seventh, Air seventh, Moto eighth, Spangler ninth, Penguin 10th, Rodan 11th, and Gunner 12th. That was a very entertaining race to watch. Some fun crashing at the end, some fun donuts, lots of smoke. Dean finishing fifth definitely wasn't much better than his past races by just better by 1 position. First race was better by 2 positions compared to last week. If Dean slowly gets better and he's able to get podium, he'll definitely be doing well in this championship. And for those who participate for more than 50% of the races, will be sent a sticker for the season, a season sticker. And when that sticker is done and being decided, I will make sure to share it live on stream when it comes out. So, that was GP Simsports GTC Legends season, I believe 18 now. Yeah, that was race number 7. That's all we have for today, and thank you very much for sticking around and watching. I saw a few more viewers. Make sure to tune in next week at the exact same time, where we'll be having race 8. I don't actually know how many races we have left. It must be just 1 or 2 till the series is 100% over. Anyway, that's GP Simsports. See you guys